Maybe I needed more. And now it's super hot just because, the stress of it all.
It says live on YouTube now. Before it said live on some streaming service.
Okay. We might actually be live now. If we're live, hi, someone shoot me a comment, a text, or something. Let me know that you see us live.
I can see you on my phone.
Yay! That counts, right?
Yeah, it says in vivo.
Okay, so hi. If you're waiting for us to go live, normally I come on here and say we had technical problems, and that is true. I had user errors this morning, but I also lost internet access at the exact moment I was coming online, so I didn't know there was a problem until I was trying to talk to Adelia in the Zoom, and it was just gone. So we're here. Hi, I'm Roshida from Rashida's on the Loose. And this is Adelia from Picky Girl Travels the World. Adelia is a teacher, a world traveler, a financial coach that lives in Mexico City. She retired in Mexico City late last year. It was late last year, right?
June, July.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot it's been that long.
Yeah.
In June of last year, after living all over the world. So today we're going to talk to her about what it's like to be a Black woman in Mexico City, to retire in Mexico City, and what it's like living here during the code red lockdown. I don't know what's the official name for the lockdown.
Semáforo rojo, because it's a traffic lights system, and semáforo, I may not be pronouncing that right, is traffic light in Spanish.
So. Okay, I've seen it, but I just thought it meant like level or whatever. I knew. Listen, rojo was all I needed to know. So we are. The city is locked down. You can go home. You can go to the store. You can walk by some restaurants, maybe pick up some food on your way through, or they will hand you some food. But that's about it right now in Mexico City right now. So if you're thinking of coming down on a trip, it's not the best time to be here. But we'll get to more of that later. And if you have comments or questions about being here, retiring here, being Black here, throw them into the comments. I will get to them all. Right now, I want Adelia to tell us why she decided to retire to Mexico City. Of all the cities in the world, why Mexico City?
The short answer to that question is the minute I got here, it felt like home. The longer answer is it ticked all of the boxes for me. I like cities. I like to be able to go to museums, restaurants, have activities, things to do. And pre-pandemic, Mexico City was that times 100. And it's really affordable compared to the United States.
Definitely. And I definitely know what you mean about it feeling home, because that's exactly how I felt. I think on my second or third trip here, I was like, why don't I live here? And I was here with one of my really good friends, and she said, well, why don't you? And I was like, oh yeah, life could be so simple, huh? And so, yeah, that's totally the same reason. It's a world-class city that is totally underrated.
But very underrated.
When you get here, you know exactly why you should be here. All right, so you moved here. It feels like home. You've been here since June, July. Tell us about your network. Do you have a Black girl network in the city?
I do, because I lived here previously. I lived here in 2017, 2018. And so that made moving back here during a pandemic, trying to come from China, that made it much, I'm not gonna say it was easy, but it was a lot less difficult, I think, than it could have been. So yeah, I do have a Black girl network. A really good one. A really good one.
And how did you make that network?
Facebook. When I had initially decided to move here after living in Honduras, I started looking for Black expat groups in Mexico City, and connected with some people there. I want to say within the first 2 days I was in town, there was we haven't done it in so long, I forgot what they're called, a meetup.
Mm-hmm.
And two of the ladies I met that night, were like this.
Okay. So you're here, you have your network, you like it here. You see yourself here for the long haul?
Yeah, when somebody asked me that question, there is no other place I would rather be right now.
Okay.
Like, not that I'm really trying to travel far during the pandemic, but the thought of going someplace and like leaving here is not very attractive right now. So even if I'm not here full time, I'm always going to have a place here.
Okay. So because I saw you comment on another video of mine, I know that you were considering like Denmark or Sweden. Is that a long time from now, or could that be soon?
Oops, what happened? Sorry about that. I should be, there we go.
It is the morning of
sorry about that.
Technical difficulties. It's fine.
You were saying Norway, Sweden, Denmark.
Yes.
I don't know. I would like to, when you're trying to get residency, sometimes age can hurt you. So there is the thought that the sooner I can do that, the better. But okay. I'm not in any rush, but that is on the horizon.
So, not to get too sidetracked off of Mexico, actually, I'll bring it back to the topic because you have residency in Mexico.
Yes.
And that's a retirement?
Yeah. I am officially retired in Mexico. That's the visa that I'm here on. And so I wanted residency here because I wanted to have the security of knowing, this is going to sound bad, but like when everybody started closing their borders during the pandemic, I was not worried that I'd have to go back to the United States because I was like, I got residency in Mexico.
Right. Okay. And if you have questions for Adelia about the residency process, you can drop them here, or you can come to the Exodus Expat workshop that we're doing on Wednesday at 8 p.m. I'm going to drop a link to that in the comments, and that will help you with everything you need to know about getting residency in Mexico. Now, Adelia, is your residency, is it a temporary residence or is it permanent?
A permanent.
Okay.
But you can get temporary and turn that into permanent.
Yes. All right. I can do this when I'm doing it on Facebook, but trying to add comments now when I'm doing it live, I'm like, there's so many screens and things, and what do I do, and how does this work? I'm gonna get it though. I'm gonna put this in the comments. You just wait and see. Got this. Okay. Let me see what questions I have for you. All right. So one of the things that everyone I know who travels has a this happened to me because I was Black story. Like everyone has like this thing happened because I was Black. Do you have a story like that for Mexico City? And if so, can you share it with us?
When I think of those stories, they are generally not positive. And so I can't really think of an incident where I was like denied entry, charged more, treated rudely because I'm Black. I guess my stories Here in the city, it's more of I walk into the metro and all of a sudden everybody's head turns, you know, because they're like, what's she doing here? You know, or if I wear, there have been a couple of times that I wore my hair out and before my haircut, because I've cut off 2/3 of it, but I used to have a lot of hair. And so that would cause a stir, cause a flurry of activity, but it would be more like, oh, your hair is so pretty. I love your hair, like that. I can't think of a situation in this city where I have had difficulty or a situation where I was like, they're only doing this because I'm Black. And I've had those other places.
Definitely. I feel like I had a moment yesterday with Costco, but I don't know. I don't know if it's because because they were Black or because they were old, rich white Latinos. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, but they would have treated a brown Mexican any different than they treated me in that moment. It was kind of like, well, this is interesting, and it wasn't terribly bad. They just wanted us to not check out until they want. Long story. Anyway, it's not important, but it was one of those moments. But other than that, like I find that most people are, and I don't know if it's because I'm Black or because I'm an obvious foreigner, people tend to treat me really well here. Like they're really kind. If they know you don't speak the language, or if they think you don't speak the language, they're really patient with you, which as an American, I'm not used to that. like no one says, this is Mexico, speak Spanish. They're just like, how can I help you? And the hair thing is true. Like you get a lot, when I wear it out, I get a lot of like verbal appreciation for it in ways that I don't get in other places. People aren't touching it.
No, but they're saying stuff and they're smiling and they're pointing.
Yes. But no one's walking up and putting their hands on you, which is awesome. All right. So I finally found out how to get to the comments. And I'm gonna get this YouTube thing down one day. It's gonna be all right when I get it. All right. So folks are here saying, hey, are you fluent in Spanish?
Ooh, not fluent. But I have some Spanish. When I initially came here, I virtually had none. I could say, you know, like, where's the bathroom? And I knew basic foods, but my Spanish is better, but I would not say I'm fluent. However, if I had to have a conversation with someone completely in Spanish, I could. It'd be really ugly, but I could do it.
Okay. Have you had any situations where you were like, I'm not going to get what I want the way I want it because I don't speak Spanish?
No, I've not had that. And I've even been like in small towns where no one spoke English. But when I pulled out Google Translate, like I would ask the question or say the thing in Spanish and I'm getting a blank look back. And I was like, okay, obviously I'm not saying the right thing. Pull out Google Translate and they're working with me to sort it out. But no, because even like at the immigration office, I did that myself. So with my little bit of Spanish.
Okay. And could you have gone through the immigration process without any Spanish?
Yes. As long as you have the ability when you're looking at the documents online that you can translate them into English, but like the actual physical process, it was okay.
Okay. So you have your residency here. It's permanent. You are a Black woman in the city. What's one thing you could leave on the table about Mexico City?
Normally, I would say traffic, but that's why I don't drive here.
Time out. Do not drive to Mexico City. If you come to Mexico City, do not rent a car. Do not, hear me, do not rent a car if you come to Mexico City. Unless you're immediately leaving. Like you're leaving. If you're like at the airport and you're renting it to leave, God bless you, good luck. But if you're going to be in the city,
Yeah.
don't do it.
Because most of the things that people would complain about the city, I either find enduring or I just chalk that up to that is the way things are here and don't get bent out of shape about it.
Okay.
So
Can you
yeah,
name a couple of those?
the noise.
I love the noise.
This is not a quiet place. You can't
No.
have a city of more than 20 million people and expect it to be quiet. You know, so the noise, a lot of people complain about the pollution. I have not noticed it. Like I can see it, but it has not affected me. And I don't know if that's because I grew up in Houston where there's plenty of smog. And so maybe I'm just used to it or what, but that's not been an issue with me. You know, I wouldn't even say, because some people who don't frequent big cities a lot will be like, oh, but it's, you know, cities are dirty. And I would say, for the most part, this is a fairly clean city, if especially if you consider how many people there are here, you know. So no, traffic is probably my biggest headache.
Traffic, and now it's not even as
No.
bad as it usually is. Also, we're not really going that many places. I find so my mom has asthma and she has to use, or she had to use inhaler in the Bay Area. And I think in Florida too, but I haven't heard her use it down here. And so looking out of my window, like this morning, I was like, "Ooh, that air does not look good." But when I'm walking around, I don't feel it. That doesn't mean it's, of course, not there. But I think it's something about the mountains or something. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't feel it. My mom hasn't had to use her inhaler to breathe here. So it's
Yeah.
not great air, but it's also not like
It's
I have
not.
to wear a mask to get
No.
around because it's not. Yeah, but it's
Because
not like French country air, fresh
no,
country air.
no,
You're not getting that.
no. You're gonna
That's
get
not.
some ode to city,
Yes.
definitely.
Speaking of Oda, I live. Someone asked about our neighborhoods. I live close to a chocolate factory. I have not located the chocolate factory,
Really?
but when I leave the apartment, I can smell it. Today, I'm on the 25th floor. Today, I opened my window and I could smell it, and I was like, I hate y'all so much. Like it smells like someone is baking chocolate chip cookies and it just got a little bit too crispy. Like it's just like that dark chocolate yum is what it smells like every time I go outside. So, because I was trying to get more details without being too obvious, I go outside, ask security guard, what is that smell at the front door? Like, what's that smell? And he was like, oh, that's the chocolate factory mixed with the Corona factory, because I don't know where the chocolate factory is. But I also live by the Corona factory. And so if you get like there's a highway right by, and if you go like not even one stop away, I can see the Corona sign from my window. And I see there's like their whatever discharge. Hopefully it's not too dirty. Speaking of air, you can see like the billowy Corona smoke all day. And then you hit the highway and smell the hops, and it smells like baking bread. And I'm like, why? This is
Now you have piqued my interest. I'm like, chocolate factory. I've got to
I
do
don't
some
know.
research.
I have found a chocolate store on the same street, but it's not big enough to have a factory unless it's like just the front of the, you know what I mean? Like a really tiny front to the factory. It's underneath
That
a gym, which I don't know how that works.
as
It's
Mexico
underneath
City.
a gym. Right. Your chocolate factory is below a gym. But it's also selling Swiss chocolate like Godiva. And I'm like, y'all aren't making that here.
No.
Lots of questions. But the point was, Oda City is sometimes chocolate factory or Corona factory. So this is, yes, what I love. Okay, let me go check some of the questions again since I know how to do that now. Fancy. I'm very fancy. All right, let's do this. All right, so Sabrina asked about the air quality. Dualaville Adventure says, as much as I loved Mexico City, after a few days of the press of being in a city of 1 million of 1 million people started getting to me. Lots more than 1 million, but yes, the city does. The city, I have a friend who lives in Playa del Carmen, and she came here for one day. She flew in from Cancun and then had like a 18-hour layover, and she's from Chicago. she'd been in Playa del Carmen for, I think, a year or two. By the time she came to Mexico City, she was like, I can't do this. Like, what is this big city like? And I think she was headed back to Chicago, but she was still like, why is it so much? Like, what is going on? I'm like,
it can be a lot for people. But it does not bother me. If anything, it's when I go other places, I'm like, where is everybody? Why are there so few people out on the street?
Yes.
So yeah, no, I understand that.
Okay.
I totally understand that.
Next question for you is, what neighborhood do you live in?
I live outside of the expat bubble. I live in a colonia called Letran Valle. And it's funny because when foreigners ask and I tell them that, they're like, where is that? And locals, I say that, they go, oh, that's a nice area. That's a really good location. It is, I guess, south of downtown. Most expats live in like Roma, Condesa, and I would be south and east of there. Mm-hmm. So I'm in the city, but I'm definitely a little further south, but not all the way south. Like I still have, if it wasn't Corona, the metro bus and all of the metro public transit and all of that.
Mm-hmm. So I live in Polanco. I actually knew Polanco. I haven't quite figured out what that means. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not in like the cute colonial looking Polanco. I'm in like the sky rise. People will know exactly where I live. By the way I'm describing it. There's a chocolate factory. There's a Corona factory. Yeah, I'm in one of the towers over here. It feels like gentrification. It is gentrification. I'm giving myself some time just to be here. I did an interview with Martise Sutton when she moved to Playa del Carmen. It's a few videos back on my YouTube channel. And she said something about taking her career break. She was really intentional about renting a place that like looked like the life she wanted to live. And when I thought about it, I was like, if I'm going to come down here during lockdown, we were like yellow or orange at the time.
We were orange because we never made it. Red. We never made it off of orange, unfortunately.
But things were open. You could sit down in restaurants, all that stuff. But I was like, still, if I'm going to be inside and not like running the streets all the time, I want to be in a place that makes me happy. And I hate to say it, but a lot of the rentals that I saw, a lot of the furnished ones did not make me happy. And a lot of the unfurnished ones were like, some were just huge. Like, I don't like your show. And anyway, a lot of them just didn't work for me in a lot of ways. So this one, while I would like to live somewhere that is more embedded in the city, this was like the place that I could rent at the time that I knew would work for me. I always feel safe, but I have never felt, the only time I felt unsafe in Mexico City is when I saw white men with guns. I'm gonna leave that to you outside of my apartment building. That was when I lived in Roma. I was like, I think you're American.
And what is going on here?
I do not know why you're here. I do not like this. Bye-bye. Like, I have to get away from this. Anyway, but yeah, that's the only time I've ever felt unsafe in Mexico City. Other than that, I have always felt safe.
No, I very much, when I came in July and started looking for apartments, I was thinking of lockdown mentality. It needed to be someplace where if I could not leave, I would enjoy the space. And I purposely chose a neighborhood where most people are Mexican. I've probably seen less than 5 foreigners here because I'm trying to force myself to practice my Spanish. And, it goes.
Yeah. Okay. So more questions. We talked about neighborhoods. Mandy asked what the city is like, and then she had a follow-up question, which was, it sounds like New York. And I always say that it's like New York, but with warm people, warm, friendly people who actually want to help you, and no rats that I've seen. Like that.
You know, that's very interesting because I can't say that I've seen rats. And with this many people,
yes,
you would expect it.
I've seen mice in a park late at night.
Yeah, but no, like, not like the rats I saw in New York City.
Rats.
No,
I didn't do that. No. So I think it's like New York in the sense that there are huge parks. There are 1,000 different types of neighborhoods. There is like a lot of museums, theater, anything you want, anything you can find in New York,
you can find
here. And so in that sense, it is like that. It's a very, I want to call it a diversity without being an extremely diversity. Like
it is a world-class city.
Yeah,
it is everything you would expect a world-class city to have. You have it here.
Yes. Sandy asked if it was easy to rent. It was for me. Well, I had to like give a lot of documentation to prove that like I was going to be here and I was going to actually pay rent.
And that I chalk up to tenants have a great many rights here. And so if you're a landlord, you are very nervous that people are going to get into your place and then not pay you your money. And you will have a hard time getting them out. I can't, like I jumped through their hoops, which weren't very big. I did it. And it's more of an issue of finding a place you like,
yes,
in an area you like, at a price you like. That's the hard thing. Because of the traffic, where you live matters.
Michelle asked about the range in rental prices. I mean, I've seen things from like a couple $100 to like $22,000 a month, like US dollars. Like it's a city like that.
Yeah, you can live in a hovel, or you can have a penthouse with an infinity pool. It's all about what do you want to spend.
Right. I'll be transparent here. I am in a luxury building with like a kids play area, which of course I don't need, but a pool, like a little garden outside for security. There's all these other things. I have a 2-bedroom, 2 full bath, unfurnished, and I'm paying $1,250 a month. I'm probably overpaying. I wanted to get in.
You are not overpaying.
I'm not overpaying?
No, ma'am, you are not overpaying. Now I'm overpaying. No, ma'am, you are not overpaying. That's Mexican, right?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Oh, okay. No, you're not overpaying. That's about right. That's what I would expect
for that.
Okay, that's what I would expect. No, I thought you meant 12,500 because my feelings were about to get really hurt.
No, ma'am.
For
like, you guys who aren't doing the math, that's like $600 US. So she thought I was paying about half the price. I'm not. But to get that, I had to negotiate. Like I'll pay them a couple months rent up front because I negotiated down from their original rate. The building is pretty empty. Interestingly enough, the builder, so this is, like I said, this apartment has never been rented before. And there are a lot of empty units that they can't sell, or they have not sold yet, but they're renting them at a higher price than people who purchased them and are renting out on their own are renting them for. When I was like, why would you do that when you have all these units and they're empty? They're like, well, we can sell them. And I'm like, but if you're trying to rent them,
no,
you actually haven't been able to sell them. So
the logic I've found, they would rather have a place empty than not rent it or get the price they want. When I got here in July, I expected, because it was mid-pandemic, I expected to find bargains, and I did not. No. They were like, no, that's the rent. And I said, well, it's how long has it been empty? Didn't matter. They were totally willing to let it sit empty if they couldn't get the price they wanted.
Yeah, my landlord and I had a standoff over $50 US.
Same here. Same here. Whole deal almost fell apart because I wanted him to drop the price. What was the equivalent of $50 US. And I was like, okay, thank you. And we met in the middle at 25.
Yeah. Yeah,
But it took some work.
I got something else from them instead, and I paid that 50, but they were like, no, this is what it is. I was like, oh, well, okay. All right, other questions. How do you guys get around? I love subways in foreign cities, but for some reason, I have never bothered to take the subway. I know why. Uber is really cheap here. The ride sharing apps are super cheap here. I have never gotten into the bus or the subway here. Adelia, what about you?
And I have ridden just about everything. The subway here is very cheap. It costs 5 pesos, which is about what, 20 cents.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter how far you are going on a one-way ticket, it's 5 pesos. I believe it is, if not the largest metro system in North America, it might serve the most people.
Mhm.
The metro here is good, but if you do not like crowded spaces, it is not for you. Not for you at all. I have ridden, there's a whole range of buses, and I have ridden a variety of those. I've ridden the trolley bus here. I've ridden the, what's the other thing they have? The only thing I haven't ridden are they have cable cars that connect some of the outlying areas in. I haven't done that, but no, Uber and, things similar to Uber are cheap and easy. The thing I have not done is get into a street taxi by myself, because I'm not comfortable that I have enough Spanish to tell people where I'm going in a sudden situation.
I have done that a couple of times. One worked out really well. It was when my phone was dead, and so I couldn't Uber around. It was like, and I needed to get from Roma to Santa Fe, which is like,
yeah, you don't have
across
a choice.
Town. Like it's a hike. It was like maybe an hour ride and cost me like $6 in an Uber or less, because things here are but like I said, the rides here are pretty reasonable. But so I think I got there in an Uber because I was able to do something. Someone else called. I don't remember what I did. I think I got there in Uber and I left, but it was the mall. So I'm leaving a large mall where there is, a taxi stand. We negotiated a price. He took me in the middle of we were like 5 blocks away, and I realized I left something at the mall, and I managed to get can you go back? Went back, same price. Of course, I tipped in big, but went back, same price. It was really cheap to get home, the hour to get home. I did it another time, same time when my phone was like dead for a month. I don't recommend that in foreign countries. Have something that works. But it was dead. I can't remember where I was going, but I got in a taxi and I told him where my address was. I told him which streets it was between. So it's on X Street between Y and Z. That man drove around. His phone wasn't working, so he didn't have GPS. So we rode around, just riding around, trying to find my place. And I'm like, I had to start, like, once I saw places I knew, I was able to tell them, like, turn here, go there. But a taxi driver who does not know how to get you to where you're going, I was like,
yeah.
I haven't done it since then.
But the city is very walkable. So especially now in the pandemic, I walk more because I don't take the metro.
Mm-hmm. So that's actually one of the reasons I moved down here. When I had knee surgery and I'm supposed to be like exercising, and of course I can't go to a gym. I like to walk a lot. It's one of my favorite things to do when I lived down here before. And I felt like I couldn't really walk that much in Florida because it's always 1,000 degrees and 2,000% humidity. But here it's got a really nice climate. I go walking almost every day, and it doesn't have to be far. I mentioned my neighborhood is being built up now, but there's still, trees lining every street. It's still safe to walk. It's a city that I don't want to say they focus on walking, but they really know how important it is for people to like have that avenue for themselves. And so that's always been great here. All right. Mandy says, is there a train? Not the cable car, but a train I can ride into a different area, like a beach. I've never been on a train. No trains here, right?
There's light trains,
Yeah.
and they're more about bringing people out from the suburbs into the city. The closest beach is Acapulco, and the only way you can get there is either you fly, drive, or take the bus.
And how long's that drive?
5 hours?
Terrible, but
It's like 5 or 6, I would imagine.
I am telling you now, I don't know. I am surprised. I'm not surprised because I know that a lot of what we do in America is based on American exceptionalism and the way that we feel individually and as a society about ourselves. But when I come down here and I see that there are very few cars mashed to hell, and I compare that to the way people are driving when I'm in a car, like, this is one lane. Why are 3 cars in this one lane? You know, it just,
Yeah.
it is what it is. So people here, like I said it in the beginning, I will say it again. Don't think you're gonna rent a car. Unless you're used to driving in places where
there are no rules. Because you have to be ready for somebody to make a right turn out of the left lane.
Yes.
You've got to be ready for stuff like that.
Yes. I actually saw that day before yesterday, with a truck made a left from the right lane. Like a big, and people here drive aggressively. So if you're okay with that, that's okay. I think the difference is they are very cautious about not hitting each other in ways that we are not in the US. And so that's why you don't see the accidents. So that's why I say, even if you're an aggressive driver, it might not be for you, because you have to learn how to be aggressive and also not hit your neighbor's car. Because if you hit your neighbor's car, they might not be able to fix it. And then it's going, you know what I mean? Like problems. I don't know the insurance down here.
Well, but no, I had remarked to someone, we were out walking, how I have virtually never seen a traffic accident here.
I've never seen an accident. I've seen like a couple of cars with dents, especially
maybe
like
a fender
dents,
bender,
but not
a serious accident. I've never seen one.
And I'm telling you,
so
the driving does not support that. All right, let's see. Okay, when is lockdown scheduled to end? Girl, that gaze out.
Okay, right now it is scheduled. It was just renewed for an extra week. So the deadline is supposed to be the 17th.
It's a lie.
I believe it is a lie as well.
It's a lie.
I think January is a wrap. I hate to say it, but I think rumor has it we will be on lockdown much longer. I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't want to put that in the universe. But although I think next Friday, they will tell us it is extended again.
I think so too. Because I'm not seeing, there's a culture here that I'm not seeing change. Like, people eat at roadside stands. And so you have 5 people standing there eating food within like a foot of each other, or like that. That is not changing. Like, the restaurants are closed.
But that behavior hasn't changed.
That behavior hasn't changed. And I'm not saying, who am I to come in and say culture must change? But I'm just saying that lockdown's not going to get lifted. Like, because people are still getting, like, the levels of people getting sick are still high, and the hospitals are still overwhelmed.
I read an article that said this week we were about 200 beds away from the from having no more beds. So, and then you think about hospitalizations are about 2 weeks behind. So 2 weeks ago, we were looking at New Year's. Mm-hmm. So anybody who was doing partying for New Year's, they're about to be sick. And then if people got together for Three Kings Day, that then was
the 6th, right? January 6th.
So then that pushes us, at least I think, until the end of January.
And I went to the grocery store on Three Kings Day, and there were like 20 people buying them huge ass pieces of bread that I don't know what they're called. You know what they're called?
Rosca de Reyes, I think.
Yeah. So they're getting together. So our
Yeah.
lockdown is just going. Our lockdown is going to keep going. And let's talk about what the lockdown means. So this is our getting into the code red lockdown stage right now. What that means is that I don't want to say everything's closed because a lot of things are open. Like uh, Stephanie Perry, Vicarious, I watched her live this morning about living, and she just went to La Paz. She talked about OXXO. OXXO is like 7-Eleven. There's one on every corner. There's one like literally if you walk down the main street where I am, there's one, and then you walk a block and then there's another one. Like I don't 17 in my neighborhood, cool, all right, whatever. But you can pay your bills there, you can re-up your SIM card there, you can do 1,000 different things there, not, more than just buying snack foods and water. Those are open. Grocery stores are open. What is open right now, Adelia?
It's
What
supposed to be essential things only. So grocery stores, washaterias, because they don't really call them that here. But if you need up to go do your laundry, because everybody doesn't have a washer,
Mm-hmm.
Those are open. I'm trying to think, utilities, transportation, that sort of thing. So it's supposed to be essential things only.
Yes. But what is actually open and what is closed is like, it seems like it's up to whoever had the keys to the door that day just decides whether they're open or not. Like I have not been able to get furniture because I have not been able to find an open furniture store, which makes sense because I'm sleeping on an air mattress. So it's hard for me to say a bed isn't essential, but I get it. It's not going to kill me. Like I can do this. But then I did find a furniture store that was open. I mean, they couldn't get me furniture for 45 business days, but they were open. They were there. They were letting people in. And I was like, but how are you essential? You're not essential. You're not.
You mean like the nail shop downstairs that's open? Last time I checked, getting your nails done is not an essential activity, but they're open.
So it's hit or miss. Like I said, I think I went to 5 stores before I found one that was open. 5 furniture stores before I found one that was open. And even they were like, yeah, but you're not going to get furniture until like February or March. So IKEA won't even let you order online anymore. I don't know when they're going to, that was last week. I don't know if they've started again. I'm a little bitter about that. They were really far behind on deliveries, but yeah, they shut down the online ordering system. Is it related to COVID? Is it just their business? I don't know. So someone asked about furnishing apartments. I can tell you nothing except I've got a desk and a chair off Amazon. That's about it. Adelia, can you talk about furnishing your place?
Because, well, I got here right when we were coming off of the lockdown the first time. And I did not want to have to go into stores more and be around people more than necessary. So for me, anything I could get delivered was great. I did get some stuff out of Facebook groups. In a large city that has a large expat population, when people leave, they will post, okay, I'm selling all of my stuff. And so I got a few things that way. I got a bed for my extra bedroom. Somebody who had at one time like 67 Airbnbs, but because of the pandemic, they were getting rid of a bunch of them. So they had a bunch of furniture to get rid of. And so I asked about that, and I was like, he asked, well, do you need delivery? And he was like, they would do it for $5. Yeah. So, so I've got some stuff online. I got some stuff on Facebook. I have not, with the exception of one day I went into one furniture store. I've not been in a furniture store physically. Roshida and I had talked about this. The thing that was an adjustment for me is being from the US, I am used to walking in a store and what they have is physically in stock and I can take it home today. And what I learned shopping for furniture, that is not always true. And so that took some work. I even got a desk made by a carpenter. This is a place that if you can't find what you want, you can get it made and not necessarily break the bank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I don't want to applaud cheap labor too much, but this is a place where you can get things done, like moved, delivered, that kind of thing, for a lot cheaper than you might think. And so it's something to consider. The minimum wage here is really low. So, tipping always helps, and et cetera. All right, what other questions do we have? How do you deal with the class system in Mexico? Do you have issues with colorism? Is there a big Black expat community in Mexico? 3 questions from Yolanda. So thoughts on any of those questions, Adelia? The class system, colorism, expat community
is a thing. Well, there are a lot of expats here. There are a lot of Black expats, but because of the nature of the city, you may walk down the street and never see another Black person, but there could be thousands of us here. So you'll have to connect in other ways.
You have to be intentional. If you want to see Black people here, you have to be intentional. Or like, I saw a guy outside of Walmart the other day and I was like, hey, and he was like, hey. And that's the only other Black person except for the people, like the Exodus Summit people that I've like met up with. Those are the only Black people I have seen since I've been here.
The classist, Mexicans will readily admit that they are classist. No one has beaten around the bush or tried to hide that. And I find that their attitude is more of, well, that's just the way things are. They don't necessarily, or the people at the top of that pyramid don't necessarily have an issue with the system. Colorism, it's mired in classism. I was taking Spanish class at the university, and we got one of the first things you learn in basic is descriptions, because here, like if you look at a missing persons poster, it doesn't, like in the US, it'll say Black, male. Here, they talk about, are they thin? Are they not thin? Are they light, medium, dark, complex? So describing somebody's physical appearance is a whole thing. And my teacher made a point to say, because I forget, there was a word, and I guess she didn't want me to think that it was like a race thing. And she was like, oh, but we don't have issues with race. We are classist. And I'm sitting there thinking, but did you happen to notice what color the people are who are at the bottom of that situation? So, colorism is a thing. It is.
And you see it because of the privilege afforded to me as an expat Westerner with a little bit of change to spare, more than the average Mexican worker. The things I get to do put me in circles where I can see it in my face. Like I was in spin class once, and spin class is definitely a luxury here, as it is everywhere, because these classes are never cheap. But I was in my spin class and looked around, and it was some expats, but almost exclusively women that appeared to me to be from Mexico, based on the Spanish, the class is taught entirely in Spanish. So it's one of the few people who was like, what are we doing? Back up. Anyway, I looked around and almost everybody was light skinned with blonde hair. And I was like, yes, these are
white Mexicans.
White Mexicans are the rich Mexicans. This is the way the world has developed over time. It is not exclusive to the US. It is here as well. And so you cannot talk about racism or colorism without talking about classism here. And I think that's true. Like I've heard people say, there is no racism in Mexico. And I'm like, so I have to decide, but the woman yesterday in Costco who slighted us in a minor way, like I have to decide whether that was racism or some kind of inferred classism, or whether she was just really naturally rude. I don't know what that was, but I'm gonna say it was all swirled up. Like the privilege that she wanted afforded to her, but the guy at Costco was like, no, sis, calm down. But the privilege that she wanted afforded to her to be put above us and before us when she came after us. Like, why does she think she gets to step in? What if all my things are on the little line thing twirling? Why do you think you get to step in front of me and check out before me when I'm already at the register? Like, what, he hasn't started checking me up yet, and you think that? Now what is manifesting here? Like, I can tell by looking at you that you got a little bit of change. I can tell, but like, is what is the ism, or are you just rude?
Because it's one of them, probably. Good chance.
Good. There's a very good chance it is one of them. And I don't feel the need to slice that too much. It is what it is. Like I said, that's very rare. Most people are very helpful. Every once in a while, I get someone who's like, the vibe I'm feeling is, I just like, this transaction is going to be more difficult for me because I, as a customer, am not doing my part. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot tell you what I need clearly. I cannot communicate in the way the three customers in line behind me can, right? And so I get, sometimes, every once in a while, I get kind of a sense of like, just
whatever.
But no one's ever rude. Like, it might be kind of like a vibe, but no one's ever like, what are you doing here? And anything like that. People are generally more helpful. And so that the experience I had yesterday at Costco isn't one I ever remember having here before. Like we said earlier, people are more happy to have you here. However, I think if we were Mexican and this color, that would be a different story.
That would be a different thing. And I will say that I purposely try to keep my mouth shut a lot of times, because especially if I have my hair out, they're not sure. They're pretty sure I'm not an Afro-Mexican, because there really aren't many of them in the city. But they might think I'm Cuban or Dominican, not necessarily American. And that's more, I try not to use American privilege. So I will often keep my mouth shut so they won't hear my accent. And so they'll just interact with me just based off of me being there and can we do this thing or not? But that's my hang up.
That's finished. Hola. Yeah, hey. That's me in every store. Like, hey, what's going on? And you come to it with what you come to it. Like they bring, I cannot tell them what to bring to it. I just want to check out. So, all right, let me see what our questions we have. Let's see. All right, all right, let's see. I'm older than you ladies. I wonder about socializing and dating. Have you found that to be an issue in Mexico City?
Is she sure she's older than us?
I don't know. Brooklyn?
Because you can't see my gray hair here, but there's a lot of it. Socializing. Dating. You can date. I have not been more because of my filters, but there are plenty of men who are more than happy to take me on a date. There have been several this week who were like, let's go for coffee. And I'm like, this is a pandemic and I was traveling a week and a half ago. No. And they're like, well, when you're ready to go out, let me know. So no, it's very doable, but it depends on who do you want to date. If you are okay with dating locals or dating foreigners who may not be the same color as you, you got plenty of options here.
Don't come down here trying to date black men.
Yeah.
So, because they're all dating everybody you know.
Yeah. So it's about who do you want to date?
Yeah. Yeah. If a black man lives down here and he's single,
he's not.
When you get together for the meetup, if black women meet up, he's probably dated like half of them at least. It just that's just what I have observed with my eyes.
Yeah.
So, but
If you're open, there's plenty.
They are here. They are here. All right. Biba says, I'm supposed to come early February. Can I not leave my flat? You can leave. You just, there's nothing to do outside.
Oh no,
and
you
in
can
February,
go.
things might be open in February.
You can leave. Now, this is, I think this is just a Mexican thing. I don't even think it's specific to Mexico City. Rules are often more like guidelines than very, very strict regulations. So at no point did they say you cannot leave, because everybody here would be like, whatever, I'm going outside. So no, you can still go to the park unless you live in an area that has closed parks. Like in Coyoacan, they roped off their park. In that part of the city, you can't get into the parks. But where I live, the parks are open.
My parks, there's one park that I know over here, and it was roped off one day while we were in the red. A couple days later, I walked by. We're still in the red. The ropes are still visible, but they're not in one. And so I'm like, I don't think this is official, but people are playing basketball, people are playing soccer. Every part of the park that could be used was being used. And so this is also why I say we're gonna be red a little bit longer.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay red. Yeah. Let's see what other questions. Oh, what are you doing for medical insurance?
I actually just got Mexican medical insurance, private insurance. My original plan was to get on the public health thing. Like foreigners, if you have residency, you can pay I don't know. Hold on. My camera is about to go. That's okay.
Is it?
Hold on. Wait. I'm coming.
All right.
I'm coming.
It's just a technical difficulty day. It's where we are. It's what we're doing.
I'm just trying to switch things up.
While
I was trying to be fancy.
I'm going to give another plug for our Getting Residency Abroad workshops. We're doing one this week with Adelia. Adelia and I will be there. We'll be talking about the process, walking you through the process of getting your residency, everything you need to do, the different types of residencies you can apply for, how to get it, the step-by-step process. Adelia will be answering a ton of questions about it. You can get that workshop at, I'm going to put it in the comments now. That's exodussummit.com/workshops. We're also teaching workshops on getting residency in Portugal and in France. And we're later on in February teaching workshops, not me teaching, because y'all don't want that. But we'll have experts teaching you about teaching online and teaching abroad. If you want to figure out how you're going to fund your residency in another country, those are some great options for you as well. So if you have questions about getting your residency, what you need to do, save those for the workshop, come through. It'll be literally step-by-step, everything you need to do, who you need to give your money to, who you need to talk to, and then we'll give you some resources for experts you can talk to afterwards if you have more questions.
Insurance.
Yes.
My original plan was to come and get on the public healthcare system. If you have residency or if you work for a Mexican company, you can pay to be on that. And that was my original plan, that plan is, okay if you have an emergency. The problem is there's a pandemic right now and the medical system is burdened beyond belief. So I opted to get private insurance, and I chose to get a Mexican plan instead of expat insurance. The Mexican plan was a little cheaper and I felt like the coverage is better. We'll see if I ever have to use it. The downside is because it's a Mexican plan, everything is in Spanish.
Okay.
So like if I have a question at the insurance company, either I'm going to have to do that in Spanish, or hopefully somebody who speaks English works that day. I don't know.
Okay. All right. That seems like something you should talk about on the blog or the podcast, which I'm going to link to right now.
Okay.
Podcast. Adelia's podcast is Picky Girl Travels the World. And yes, I think that would be a great topic for that, because I'd like to know that information, and I don't want to do the research.
And I've done some research.
So come through, blog post, podcast, something.
Okay.
So the rest of us don't have to do it. All right, now. You also, for people who want it, who are thinking about moving abroad, you have a moving abroad checklist. See?
Yes. All of the things that you need to do, like as you're bringing your life in the US to an end, to a close, what are some things you need to do on that end? What are the things you need to do on the end in the country, your host country you're going to? What are some financial things you need to do? I tried to make it as extensive as possible without it being super long.
Okay. Now, one of my questions for you that I had was, would you recommend the city for Black female solo travelers or other retirees?
Yes.
What would your 10-second spiel to them about the city be?
Other than it is a world-class city at the fraction of the cost. I don't know.
Duala says, so are we going to address the fact that Sheeta's mom moved in with her? Because I think my mom is on here lurking. So, sis.
What's that?
I don't want to address the fact that my mom has moved in with me, because I keep pretending that it hasn't happened. The other day I asked her when she was going to start paying rent, and she said she was not. And so I was like, well, then when are you leaving? And she said she's not. And so I don't know what my rights are under Mexican law to put my mama out my place.
Ooh.
Now, she
says she's not leaving.
She said she's not. She definitely said she's not going anywhere until after the inauguration, because she didn't want to be in the airport. So I was like, cool,
Okay.
so like the 22nd. And she was like, no, man. She said,
maybe she's nervous leaving her baby girl there in an unfurnished apartment all by herself. Maybe that's what it is.
She lays on her air mattress every time she says my room, I'm like, your what? How you have a room you didn't pay for? Anyway, every time she says my room, she says she spends the day looking out at the view, and she loves the view, and she doesn't get a view from her home in Florida. So she's overlooking the city and looking at the Corona factory and smelling the chocolate and telling me I need to buy a $600 TV. And I'm like, why is you here? Like, what are you? I love you. I love you. She's watching right now. I can hear her. Love you. Hi. Go home.
Hi, Mom.
So yes, sis, if your mom is lurking, I think you said your mom did not want you moving down here. And now look, your mom is lurking. You're both going to be here. You're both going to be doing the same thing that me and my mom are doing, trying to coexist. So yes, good luck. But it's better that in the beginning you thought your mom was going to stop you, because I think we talked on Christmas Day about this. In the beginning you thought your mom was going to stop you from coming down or try to stop you. Look how open she is to the idea. Look at this, all this progress. It's a beautiful city, beautiful country. Come down.
It is.
All right. Michelle said her mom would do that too. Everyone knows. Teresa says, I think it's cool that your mom moved in with you. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Alicia says she'd like to hear more about selecting medical insurance. Do I hear a class or course forming? Adelia is working on that right now. And by that, I mean, I'm gonna harass her so she creates some content for those of us who are in Mexico.
I wasn't sure if there was interest for it, but now I know there is.
All right, if you're thinking of coming to Mexico and one of your thoughts is medical insurance, please go on ahead and add something to the comments to let Adelia know that you're interested, because she needs to hear that apparently. Sandy says, I'm retired military. Is the retired residency based on income? Go for it, Adelia.
Yes. They want to know that you have a little bit of money, and it comparatively, it is not a lot.
No.
And you show proof of that, and then they'll say, yeah. So it is, you need to be able to support yourself. It can be you're retired or you could be working, but they want to know that you can support yourself.
Okay, here's a good question. What are the downsides of the expat bubbles?
The expat
Bubbles? What are the downside of the expat bubbles?
I think one is your language skills don't improve.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you pay more for virtually everything.
Mm-hmm.
Three, I feel like you contribute to gentrification.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and it may be unavoidable because sometimes that's out of your control. But you also miss out, I think, on a lot that makes the city what it is if you are exclusively in that bubble.
That's actually the point I was going to add. My fourth to your top three were, what's the point? If you're moved to Mexico City and only talk to expats, only deal with expats, only live around other expats, what's the point? Almost, while I said that there are a lot of foreigners here, almost every one of my buildings speaks Spanish. Like, and that's what they speak when they see me, not because they think I speak Spanish, but because I think that's their primary language. So there are a couple of people who I think don't speak Spanish, but they don't speak to me anyway. But almost everyone else here is, what I'm trying to say is there's a high population of expats compared to other parts of the city. But in Roma, in Condesa, in Polanco, but it's not like a 50-50 number, at least not where I am. It's still like where I live, you're going to get a good population of Mexicans or locals from other Spanish-speaking countries. I struggle with knowing what is what sometimes, but I don't think it's fair to assume they're all Mexican.
No, because even I have neighbors across from me, they're Venezuelan.
Yeah. And so that, you know, they're expat or immigrants, foreigner, whatever you want to call them, but at least they have a different experience and they probably know where the good empanadas are. Let's see, what else do we have? People have said, yes, they want the insurance.
Okay.
So let's see.
I'll have to get on that then.
You'll have to get on that. All right. What haven't I told them, Adelia? What haven't we talked about?
We talked about being Black. Did we talk about, we talked about like safety and being here and why I'm here, why you're here. I'll say.
Yeah, I'm going through the comments. I think we got it all. This lockdown has been probably the most interesting thing for me because it's like a light lockdown. I still don't like I said, the sushi truck, the carts on the side of the road, the stands on the side of the road do not have refrigeration the way like a food truck would. They have ice, generally, from what I've seen. I don't know if you've seen other ones, Adelia. They have big blocks of ice, typically. On my street, 2 of them are sushi ones. I don't know that I would eat roadside sushi, but roadside sushi is still open and it is still packed. So if that gives you a little bit of what this lockdown really looks like roadside sushi still has customers a foot from each other on the side of the road.
The problem is people have, what is it you call it? weariness, pandemic fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
There is that big
Mm-hmm.
time. And you add to it that the government hasn't really provided any substantive financial assistance. So I kind of feel like there is this undercurrent of we're going to do what we're going to do. And I think the longer they try to lock us down, the more that will grow. So, like, is it going to be a situation where at one day she's not the mayor, she's the head of the government. Is she just going to be like, you know what? Okay, y'all do whatever, but don't get sick because there's no room in the hospital. I don't know how this is going to end here.
Yeah. I saw a story the other day, maybe in the Washington Post, LA Times, I don't know, about people escaping lockdown by coming to Mexico City. Don't do that.
Well,
because there ain't shit to do. Like literally, like
I think, or at least in the summer, like from July up until probably November, nobody was coming here. They were going to beach places.
Yeah.
Which was fine. And maybe more people did start coming here. And that's yet another reason why our numbers have gone up. But like, if you're looking to meet and hang out with people, it's just hard to do that.
I saw two people in a Facebook group I'm in. I saw people talking, and they were like, someone wanted to come to the city and meet people, and someone was like, "Yes, I'll meet you for a walk in the park." And I was like, I don't want to travel somewhere to meet someone for a walk in the park. I don't. Like, if that's all I could, like, literally, that was like all. We can't sit down for coffee together. We can't go to restaurants. We can't go.
You can stand on the street corner with someone. Yes. Or you can walk in the park.
The museums here are amazing. Like, there are so many like top tier museums in the city. You can't go to none of them. So like, I'm not saying don't come here if you are ready to be sheltered, maybe to do some self-work, some work, to be inside, to go for walks, to eat great food, because you can still eat great food. You just got to pick it up to go or get it delivered. But if you do not come here with the idea that you're going to, not right now, get the Mexico City that we talk about when we talk about Mexico City, because that's just not what's happening. And until lockdown is lifted, because the places that you actually want to go are the places that are respecting the lockdown. Like, everyone wants to go to the Frida Kahlo Museum, and they're
not going to open.
Ma'am. And I went there during COVID, and they have absolutely, like, their restrictions to keep it safe were great. Like, they were really tightly controlled.
I would say
still, they were like, no.
I would say the museums probably did the best job when things were open, when we were orange. Museums did the best job of making sure everybody had a mask, how many people they allowed in a room,
how far away from each other you had to be. I went to Bellas Artes, and they had circles on the ground, big circles on the ground where you could stand. So you could stand on the circle and look at the art. And then it was like a tour through the Museum of Circles. And there was an arrow that took you from one circle to the next. So you had to be 2 meters away from the person on each side of you. And you had to move from one circle. You couldn't just wander through. They were like, if you got off the circle, they were like, get back in your circle and walk in your line through the museum. And so if these venues that are tightly controlled are the things that are shut down, then you're left with the places that are kind of like, fuck it, we do what we want. Like, those are the places that are truly open right now, like the nail shop in Adalia's neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't understand that. And the only thing I have left for is either to walk the dog, or I did get some patterns printed at the copy shop. And it's because they are very, very large pieces of paper. I had to go to a specific place. But walking there, I would see like the nail shop open, and I'm thinking, but why are y'all open? Who wants to sit in there up in somebody's face and get their nails done? So, no say.
All right, y'all. It has been a fun, I would say 90 minutes, but y'all know it wasn't 90 minutes because we had that little glitch in the beginning. But thank you for joining us, Adelia. Oh, wait, I almost forgot. Adelia is full of wisdom, full of advice. You'll see here when she does her insurance program, you will see she knows everything you need to know. But she also offers sessions, one-on-one sessions where you can sit down with her and get her expertise. You can get all the goods. So I'm going to drop the link here. So if you want to spend time with Adelia one-on-one, you can do that yourself. Let me do this. I'm typing and talking like Stephanie right now.
It is a lot harder than I initially thought.
Oh, I keep doing, there we go. All right, that should be in there. See if any last minute questions popped in. Oh, cell phone service. So I have, get a SIM card. Like literally, my mom's Verizon isn't good here. My T-Mobile isn't, not that it's not good. After I think a certain amount of time, they, I don't know if they throttle what they do, but like the service isn't great. But yeah, being here, if you're going to be here for more than a week, SIM cards are like, I want to say $10 for 2 weeks. Yeah.
It's
like
something small. There's no, you don't have to give ID. You just go to OXXO and you ask for a chip, and you can put like a month worth of internet and all that. I'd never spend more than $10.
Yeah. And I think the card itself was fine. I paid $10 and I got a card and like a week's worth of thingy. So it's totally worth it.
I do have a dual SIM card because in the before times I would travel. And so I have a Mexican SIM for when I'm here. And then I used to have T-Mobile. Now I have Google Fi for when I'm everywhere else. So I don't have to get a SIM card in other places.
Okay. All right. Are you able to get an apartment if you have a 6-month visa entry? I did. I'm planning on getting residency here. You heard it here first. Of applying for residency here. But I have a year lease and a 6-month entry. Unlike other countries that might care about you border hopping, Mexico, in my experience, hasn't cared. My only concern is that if I leave, like I'm going to April, because I'm working with Stephanie Perry on Breakthrough House. It's a weekends of coaching for women that we're doing in Orlando. We're doing one for travelpreneurs, and we're doing one on freelancers. Yes, thank you, girl. I was blanking. But so when I go to Orlando, I'm worried that at some point Mexico might be like, girl, you can't come back. Like, not that I can't come back, but like Americans, stay your dirty behinds at home. Like that is my concern. And that's definitely one of the reasons that I've moved up getting residency on my list. But I know some countries, like if you border hop too much, like if you do like a day trip to get a fresh reentry pass, they frown on that. But because it's 6 months here in Mexico, you literally have to like go to Belize. If you can get into Belize, you can for a day. Go to US
find
for a day.
A landlord who is fine. Like my first apartment here, he didn't ask anything about my visa. He didn't even ask me for ID. You know, we signed a contract, which was probably not valid, but he didn't even ask for my ID. He didn't ask if I had a job. He didn't ask me anything, really. So yeah, you can get one.
The landlords, as long as they think you're going to pay, don't care about it. My concern would be, because of my previous experience leaving and getting stuck in the US when I needed surgery, would be leaving and then not being able to come back in for any reason. That I care about more than like the landlords don't care and Mexico doesn't care. Once they say you can come in for 6 months, literally if I leave on February 1st and come back on February 2nd, I can get another 6 months. They do not. Anybody tripping. But if they shut down that border, and they say only Mexican residents allowed, I wouldn't be able to do that, which is, like I said, one of the reasons I'm focused on residency right now. And it's an easy enough process and a cheap enough process that if you plan on being here for any amount of time,
you might as well do it.
Yeah. All right, I am going to wrap this up now. If you have questions about residency, you could hit us up. at the Exodus workshop. If you, yes, Janelle, you can, at the end of 6 months, you can leave and come back. Or if you already have residency, you don't have to do any of it. You can stay. Residency is for years or a number of years or permanently. So you don't have to do that process of leaving and coming back. By the time I leave, I'm back in the US in April. I should be completing my residency like appointments in Florida then, because you have to do some of the work in the US. That's my plan, is to have all of that. So the next time I'm back in the US, I can just go in and have them rubber stamp because it's gonna happen. All right. I think that is it. Thanks y'all for coming. Thank you so much for joining me, Adelia, through my non-internet having access. It's funny, like my internet went out and then it's been fine.
But no, we got it together.
We got it working. We got it working. Thank you so much. And everybody, I will talk to you next time. If you have questions for either of us, just drop them in the comments.